At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board here. Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Jonathan Von Tobel filling in today for Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. And this show, as always, is brought to you by DraftKings. Last night, the Monday Night Football capper to the weekend had the Niners going down in flames, along with Brock Purdy's MVP chances. They were blasted 33-19. I don't think it was really that close. Before the game, he was in the -$2 to -250 range to win the MVP. Had 4 INTs, threw 3 of them before halftime. It was ugly. The fourth one I thought was by far the worst one that he threw. It looked like I kind of joked around on X, like he needs to have a conversation. Like, what's it like seeing ghosts out there? Darnold could tell him. It looked like maybe Purdy. It looked like he was actually turning into a ghost after the second INT. He was super white and kind of like lost the way he looked on the sideline. So he is now down to 12-1. He dropped that far after he was odds on going to the game. In your opinion, JVT, is that too far of a drop, or is he now out of the mix?
So I think that Brock Purdy shouldn't be MVP. I don't think that he's the most valuable player on his team. I think when you look at it, and if you were to go piece by piece and remove them, the drop-off for guys like Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle would be more stark than if you removed Brock Purdy. Having said that, I think it's ridiculous that he's dropped this far. If he was -225, whatever it was, going into the game yesterday, one performance should not knock you out of being the most valuable player that degree. And especially, what gets me, it's not even the number, it's the fact that he's now below Tua Tagovailoa, right? Like, that's not, to me, that's a very dramatic drop. If you were the market, like if the market said he had this amount of probability of winning this award, well over 2-1, or, like, why are we doing this now where all of a sudden because of one game, he's down to the point where he's under Tua? It just doesn't make that much sense. I think this is a little too far here. And I'm like, if you thought Brock Purdy could win the award, you're going out and betting 12-1. Because here's the other thing, they get Washington next week.
Oh, yeah.
And so that is a perfect bounce-back opportunity for him to dish out 4 touchdowns to all of these guys. They win by margin, cover, blow them out, and then all of a sudden you're right back to, I don't know, I mean, the way that this thing works, maybe he's the favorite again after he blows out Washington.
Brock Purdy he had 3 INTs at halftime last night. He might have 3 touchdowns at halftime against the Commanders.
In the first quarter.
They have, that could happen because it is, honestly, for like a bounce-back spot or a get-right game, we go over this like every single week. Paulie and I do like, hey, who's going to lead the league in receiving yards this week? And guess what? For probably 6 to 8 weeks, I think when we talk about like DVOA defensively against wide receiver number ones, it's been the Commanders have been either dead last or right there hovering around 32nd overall in the league. And like to wide receiver number ones, for example, they've allowed more than 100 yards per game on average. They can't defend anybody in the air. So you would think that the Niners are going to go there. If the weather's going to cooperate, they might have 35 at halftime against the Commanders if they want. So that he could absolutely bounce back. Now, I will say this to your point about after one game, do we really just like draw a line through him? We did that with Dak Prescott. Now it's been 2 kind of bad ones in a row for Dak and 2 losses, so that's not going to help him out, obviously.
But even then, really quickly, to add, like, for Dak yesterday, or on Sunday.
Dak was never odds on either, though.
No, he wasn't. But about this whole thing that's kind of like mind-numbing about this whole MVP thing, especially this year, it just seems worse, but maybe because we're in the mix of it, maybe it's like this every year. But like somebody, I can't remember who tweeted this out, so I apologize, can't give him credit, but it was a great one, which is just like, all right, so if Dallas' defense doesn't hold up here on this last drive, then Dak's MVP case gets shot. And it's like that's it. Dak Prescott led them on a great drive to go downfield and take the lead against Miami on Sunday.
Yep.
We watched that. But because this defense decided to play soft coverage and allow them to get downfield in the field goal range and couldn't hold up, now Dak can't win the MVP,
right? Even
though he did what he was supposed to do on his end to give his team a lead.
Okay, so now I'll parlay something with that. And this is exactly what took place in the game last night. And I'm not taking anything away from Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was really good last night. But Lamar Jackson was set up because of 4 INTs by Brock Purdy. So it was going to come down to, Purdy and Lamar Jackson, whoever has. But because Purdy threw 4 INTs, that set up the Baltimore offense in really good field position to score a bunch of times last night at a bunch of points. So because of that, Lamar Jackson went from around 5-1 to minus 160.
Yep.
Now, Lamar Jackson is having a nice season. He's the quarterback on the team with the best record in football. Does that mean MVP? I guess, but that's what makes this whole award and society around it so dumb in my opinion. The fact that Josh Allen is now 16-1, and that's the number one guy I saw trending last night on my timeline. Josh Allen can get back into the mix. I'm like, what are we doing here, folks? Mm-hmm. He has 25 completions the last 2 weeks. I get it. Overall, he was also tied with Howell for the most INTs in the league, and they were a dead team 2 weeks ago. But now Josh Allen can turn it. How? Why?
So I think the Josh Allen thing is interesting because I'm very squarely in the camp of Josh Allen has been much better than what his numbers would tell you, right? So for example,
kind of like Mahomes was for the first 10 weeks of the season.
Absolutely correct. If you look at it from, and this was a couple of weeks ago, I'll have to look up the updated number list. But at one point, Josh Allen had committed 17 turnover-worthy plays and had thrown 14 turnover-worthy plays and thrown 14 interceptions. That's insane. Right, the fact that the rate of your turnover-worthy plays are converting to turnovers at that rate is something that is generally considered to be bad luck. Having said that, when you look at value in what's happened, especially the last 2 weeks, where against Dallas, all of a sudden physically dominant offensive line goes in there and just pushes Dallas' front seven around, where you don't have to do that much. That you should not. It should not just be the quarterback of a team that wins a lot of games. Yeah. We can look at this with some nuance and understand that there are some guys that offer value to their team that have pushed them to the points of where they're at that should allow them to win this award if you're not a quarterback. And I would agree with you. There are times, for example, this last Saturday, one of those the interception that Josh Allen threw was not one of those bad luck ones. That was bad. That was falling off on your back foot, trying to lace it downfield where you underthrew and it got picked off. And they underperformed in that game, had to come and win on that game-winning drive. That should not constitute an MVP performance, and especially to your point about Lamar Jackson. You look at last night. They had 3 touchdown drives, Mitch, 53 yards, 44 yards, and then 9 yards.
Yeah.
Those were the touchdown drives for them, many of them coming off of interceptions. That's not most valuable player. We should be able to look at this and look at an offense like Christian McCaffrey, an offensive player like Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill. I would throw some defensive players in there, but I feel like we're better than this as a society.
I don't think we are. I really after what happened last year in the NBA race, and actually I would tell you that this year is probably the year that Embiid should win the award as of right now.
Oh yeah.
Guy's been phenomenal. But the narratives around the NBA MVP last year just made me want to run and hide, bury my head in the sand, and never even listen to anybody ever again. It was so dumb.
There were people last year that said, he hasn't won one, so let's give it to him.
Of course. and Joker did not have good playoff success. What are we doing? So, but Lamar at now minus 160 seems, it's very aggressive to me.
Yeah.
I would have no problem with Christian McCaffrey winning this award. I think that non-quarterback players in a year like this, they should be live to win it. And I have him at 200-1. He was the first guy I bet this year when a book had an outlier of a number on him. I will tell you, though, to be completely honest, I don't have a penny on Tyreek Hill. I would be 100% okay if Tyreek Hill won the MVP. And what he means overall to the Dolphins offense, you brought this up earlier. When you're having this discussion, Hill is 22-1 today at DraftKings. Tua is 10-1. Who has been more valuable to the offense? It's not the quarterback. It's the game changer. It's the guy. It's Randy Moss on that offense. His name is Tyreek Hill. And to go one step further, how do the Chiefs look this year without the guy? So yes, other defensive coordinators need to game plan for him alone every single week. So I know 2 years ago when Kupp never won the award, what's the guy have to do at wide receiver to actually be there and have a chance? Well, this year was scoring all the way down, big time, and the quarterback play not being the best we've ever seen. How about we gravitate towards that direction just once? Because in our lifetime, a running back should win the award again, or a wide receiver should actually have a chance to win the stupid thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's ever going to be a possibility or not.
I'm with you. It's probably not, but you're looking at him. We're talking about in terms of overall, for the season for him. Like these 300, he's been incredible, McCaffrey, at every single level. And we're not talking about just rushing. Overall, he's played over 700 snaps this year, both offensive, like all offense, right? Receiving, rushing, everything that he's meant for this team. I've kind of been consistent on that. And the other part that kind of annoys me about this whole conversation, and this is outside of MVP, we have this thing where it's like you're fall on one side or the other. So because I don't think Brock Purdy should be MVP, I automatically think he sucks. And like that's not the case.
Right.
He's a very good player. But there should be some gray area to this, and I think we're looking at this in a year in which offense is down. You can look elsewhere for a most valuable player, and I think two skill guys in Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey should be at or near the top of the list.
It's people are going out of their way because every single week it's a new candidate, right? Every week, and I'll admit when I'm wrong, I do that more than anybody. I had Jared Goff after like the first month of the season. Mm-hmm. Look at the way that this guy's playing. Now, he's had too many clunkers to actually be in the mix and win it at this point. But every week it goes from, hey, Jalen Hurts, because they're going to win 13 games, and look at all the touchdowns he has. No, he has a couple of stinkers in a row. Let's get him out. Mahomes, until 3 weeks ago, was still plus 450. Now, he had a zillion drops, not all his fault, but I'm like, Patrick Mahomes is not going to win the MVP. I think books were scared to take bets on him. But now, again, it eventually turned into Brock Purdy. It's turning into Lamar Jackson. Well, what happens if Lamar Jackson loses this week to Mike McDaniel, Tua, and Tyreek Hill? Then what? Then Josh Allen, because they're going to come back and win somehow this many games and make the playoffs? People are doing whatever they can to make it a quarterback and to not accept an welcome with open arms the non-quarterback position.
We know it's going to happen. The Dolphins are going to win, and Tua is going to become the favorite. He's going to throw one touchdown. He's going to throw one touchdown, one interception, but for 275 yards. Tyreek Hill is going to have all the production, but Tua is going to be the favorite because he won.
And Mostert will rip off a 45-yard run when they're down 23-21 late in the fourth quarter to put him in field goal range, and they'll hit a 48-yard field goal. Tua gets the credit for that one. We'll recap all of the action, the betting results from yesterday on Christmas Day, and there was a ton of it, and win some, lose some, coming up next.
Were you a winner last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Paulie's out today, day off for the holidays. Highest scoring team, or in this case, plural yesterday, JVT. Eagles plus 145, Ravens 7-1, had the dead heat. Each team scored 33 points. That got a little hairy there at the end of the game for the Eagles, by the way.
Yeah.
And now they welcome in Kyler Murray. I know that it wasn't pretty against the Bears on Sunday, but with the way that defense is trending, Murray and that offense.
It's kind of weird, too, because it looked like they were going to actually win by margin and comfortably. But then shockingly enough, Tommy Cutlets ran out of magic. And then you put in a little bit more of a competent quarterback who's played quarterback for a while, and all of a sudden there's some life, and you're taking advantage of some soft spots in that defense. I think, just like we talked about last week, they're still in kind of danger here, Philly.
Yeah. Funny the way that works, huh?
Yes.
Cutlets' magic ran out, as you said. Taylor has to be the starter moving forward here.
I don't think there's any question.
To close out the year.
Yep.
Lowest scoring team, Kansas City, 9-1. Of course, most passing yards, Jalen Hurts, 5-1. He had 301 yesterday. Most receiving, Kittle, 22-1 on the day. He finished the night with 126.
Low-key about the 49ers yesterday, over 6 yards of play, over 400 yards of total offense.
Yeah.
Numbers are still there.
No, I mean, the way it looked, it's like Kittle could have, honestly, if that game didn't get so weird, Kittle was in for one of those nights where it could have been like 12 for 200.
Yep.
The way that he was going to dominate last night.
He even had that one at the beginning, right over the top of the defender that he dropped going out of the sideline.
That's right. Yep. That's right. Raiders 5-1 in the money line against the Chiefs. Hello. Raiders, here, this is the big boy. I can't even believe it was offered, but DraftKings put it up on the board. Great job by them. Raiders to have 2 defensive touchdowns, 120-1. And it happened, 7-8 seconds apart?
Yep, 7 seconds. Do you get anything on that? Have we asked? Get anything on that? $2, $5?
No.
I don't think so.
No. Because look at this. To score in the game, the yes was plus 260. But for the Raiders alone to score 2 was 120-1.
Yep.
I would never even consider something like that.
No, not at all. At 121, you would want more, realistically.
Right. Raiders to go over their win total on the season. There you go. I had them under on the year. No good. Raiders to win between 1 and 6 points, paid 6-1. Halftime, full time in the game, 6-1 there. Raiders won both. Raiders to score first, and it was everything yesterday for the Raiders. Plus 550 in that game. First touchdown there, Pacheco, 5-1. I mentioned this. Chiefs under 4.5 division wins. Cash that one. Chiefs under 11.5 wins. Cash that one as well. Oh, Lufinacaro. This is the reason why he gave it out on the air. Between weeks 11 and 17, Kansas City had a negative 20-day rest differential.
Wow.
And it really caught up to them here. And they started, 6-1? I think they're, 3-5 now?
Yep.
After that red-hot start? All right. How about this? 14-1 to the under fourth quarter on the year. 13-2 to the under second half. Like, their offense, that goes back to that Eagles game where they blew it, a 10-point halftime lead, and they did not score in the second half. And we're like, what's going on? And you look at the second half numbers, they don't do anything ever in the second half.
They used to be the Golden State Warriors, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know about the
Good
13
call.
seconds, but just give them the ball, and guess what? In a blink of an eye, you're going to be downfield.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. And I did not bet it again yesterday. Shame on me. First touchdown hurts 4-1.
We talked about this last week. Yep.
They get down to the 1 yard line. Yeah, what do you think's going to happen?
Well, am I wrong in thinking that the nifty little wrinkle here where all of a sudden he's not going straight forward anymore on these tush pushes?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, because everybody's crashing in on the center, he's pulling it and going off to the left.
A little bit.
Yep.
But he's adjusted.
Yep.
It doesn't matter because no matter what defenses do, they can't slow it down anyway.
Not at all.
Defensive or special teams touchdown in that game, yes, was plus 240. Darius Slayton, 5-1, anytime touchdown. Jalen Hurts over 300 yards passing was also 3-1. First touchdown of the night game, Gus Edwards, 11-1. A safety in that game was 11-1. And that prop that's up anyway, will a safety happen on any given week? It does cash, I think, every single week. Most points by a team in the NBA, Knicks, they had 129, 6-1 yesterday.
A little bit of an upset there, huh?
I would say. And they were in control the entire time. And the Celtics, I missed this on, the Celtics opened 1.5?
Yes.
Why would they open that low?
There was injury questions, I think, going into it. Bad scheduling spot. It was the last game of a 4-game West Coast road trip for them. But Marky got this one right.
Up to 5. Again, hairy for a couple of minutes. But that starting 5, JVT, is ridiculous at this point.
Somebody on NBA Twitter put it out yesterday. You watch them win games like this, and you wonder how they ever lose.
Yeah.
But then you watch other games where they're just like hunting mismatches, going ISO heavy and clinking shots, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Tell you what, and to me, this was so obvious. The day that the Bucks made the trade for Damian Lillard, the biggest mistake they made was give up on Jrue Holiday.
Sure.
And trade him, which indirectly then led to Boston getting him, which is just... They added Porzingis and this guy in the offseason? Come on. And Porzingis is playing like this?
I mean, I still got my questions about how you operate in clutch time on offense, right? You didn't really fix those issues that killed you the last couple of years, but the high side is insane.
Yep. Become a pro subscriber today. Go to vsin.com/subscribe so you can check out the videos that we play when you become a member of the team. This is dogs running around TSA at the airport and having a lot of fun. I know, JVT, you're a huge dog guy. You love them. Now it's like the slip and slide out there on the rink. Where do we go? What do we do? On the loose. Nobody's in control of the dogs. Get out of my way. What would you do here?
I mean, I love dogs. I think you're referencing that we have a friend who brought a dog into a public area and was just like climbing all over stuff. And we're like, it's cute. How much you want to bet if those are my kids running around and having a great time, the video would be like, look at these annoying kids running around. But they're dogs. It's funny. Especially when one of them urinates all over the floor.
It's Christmas time, man.
Yeah.
You're full of joy here. No negativity, no coal.
Right.
Some Warriors Nuggets, the over 230 to 235.5. That fell 234. Also, the Warriors covered that game. That was bet all the way up to 7.5. Eagles, 11 to 14. Nope, no good. 33-25 score there. And as I said, Nuggets touched 8, won by 6, 120 to 114 with the final there.
That was when I got a bad number, but I got 6.5. I was kind of surprised the market was moving up there. Missed out on the best of it, but just got there.
All I want for the holidays this year is some NBA action. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code FOLLOW only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with code FOLLOW. The crown is yours. And another one for you. Can you imagine the range of emotions for the two parties involved on this ticket? For those of you who are unaware of this, one person had a Brock Purdy MVP ticket from the summertime, $2,000 at 100 to 1. So do the math on that, pays $200,000. Remember, he's the person who turned down $90,000, the offer for that ticket like last week,
right,
and then readjusted. Purdy had another good game. And then before the Monday night game, this couple days ago, he sold that ticket for, what was it, $125,000?
And we're about to minus 160-ish in terms of the adjusted odds.
So imagine what he was thinking last night watching the game, and imagine what the person who bought the ticket was thinking.
Yes. So if you sold it, you feel awesome, obviously. If you bought it...
You know what? He feels awesome even if Brock Purdy wins the award still.
Yes. No, I would say so. And if you bought it, here's my question. If you bought it at, again, the implied odds would be like minus 162, I think, right? You're coming back and you're betting Purdy again, aren't you?
Now at 12 to 1.
Because again, this should all be part of the ebbs and flows. Liken it to an in-game number. Our pre-flop number is like, let's say minus 7. If the 7-point favorite goes down early, all that variance is built into the single number, and you'd assume if you bet it that by the end of it, right, you're going to get to the point where they cover.
Yeah, but awards are a totally different animal.
And I understand that. So I feel like if you liked it at minus 160, whatever, I feel like you're coming back and putting a little bit more on it. Double down. Let's go.
Here's what you need to do is that you need to really read, try to find out and follow all these people on Twitter anyway who have MVP votes and see if they're giving any hints.
Yeah.
Because they'll have narratives, right, that will not go away. Like, how many of the people who vote for this award now think that Purdy cannot win it, right?
Yes, and something just hit me, because we've talked about it a lot. We should bring this up. What could make this all madness, this is, I believe, the second year in which it is no longer a single vote per person. It is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, top 5.
Yeah. So that could create all sorts of matter. We've seen plenty of awards get decided because person like A gets however many amount of second place votes, whatever it is. It could be anarchy in a season in which MVP has absolutely, I don't think, a clear front runner. You could still win this thing with some madness.
Who would you vote for today?
Christian McCaffrey.
Love to hear it. I think I would too.
I have a vote too.
There was also a bettor at DraftKings who hit a $5 14-leg anytime touchdown score parlay yesterday. It paid $98,000 to 1.
How many of those do you think he puts in?
So it was $489,000 and change what it paid. McCaffrey had a score last night, and he did. VSiN contributor Will Hill on the program next. Get some best bets for him on today's card coming up.
Commas are there.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Check out the betting splits up on the website, vsin.com/splits. All numbers courtesy of DraftKings. Get money bets for every single game, and they're up to date, so you know that they're accurate. Every 5 minutes, that bad boy is refreshed, and it's not just for today's games. It's for future events as well. One of the many ways that you can up your game as a bettor. Check out the betting splits at vsin.com/splits, and check out all your subscription options at vsin.com/subscribe.
We'll get some best bets now in the bowl games and one NFL pick as VSiN contributor Will Hill joins the program. He's on X at @NotTheWillHill. Happy holidays, pal. How was Christmas?
Oh.
It was good. It came and went pretty quickly. I don't know. I mean, I think as you get older, man, you start football season. We wait so long for it to get here, and you look up, and it's like middle of the season, and before you know it, it's Christmas. So, sort of like the football season, it came and went just faster than usual this year. Right. It feels like.
Will's a virile young man. 4 kids now at this point. How many kids you got? How many toys were you putting together?
Yeah, a lot of boxes, a lot of garbage bags, filling stuff up yesterday. So Santa was pretty good. I know you probably had your hands full yesterday too, JVT.
Oh yeah.
a combined 6 kids then between you two. A lot of live betting then during the games yesterday. A lot of kids get out of my way. Everything's.
My favorite Will story is I remember we were talking about the dogs earlier, right? And I was like, if your kids running around, we'd be complaining. I walked up to the South Point studio one day. I saw this kid running around. I was like, what's this kid running around here for? That was Will's kid. That was the first time I met him.
Of course. I do the same thing if you ever brought one of your kids here.
That's right.
All right, so before we get to the bowl games, there is a game that you like in the NFL. Now, the number dropped after yesterday's action a little bit. The look-ahead had Eagles around 12 against the Cardinals. Now they're down to 9.5. Do you want to make a case here for Kyler and the boys in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, at 9.5, might as well just wait. Hope you get a 10 again. 9.5 sort of a dead number, obviously. I like Arizona. I don't know that this Philly team can be laying basically double digits to anyone. If I had any idea Tyrod Taylor was playing quarterback yesterday for the Giants, I would have bet the hell out of the Giants plus the 14. Once he went in, that was a different game. And that's this Tyrod Taylor with not a lot of weapons and a bad offensive line. I just think Philly's got all sorts of issues in the secondary, linebackers. They can't cover. Arizona has Gannon, so maybe there's some familiarity in terms of knowing the Eagles, and that's an advantage a little bit for Arizona. I don't know how healthy Hurts is. Hurts has really turned the ball over a lot this year. I just don't know if we're at the point with this Eagles team that they could be laying basically double digits to anyone. So I'll take Arizona. They weren't competitive the other day, but they've been pretty competitive all year. They've been in a lot of these games. They could probably have a lot more than 3 wins. As somebody who has their under-win total, they've been very close in a lot of these games. So that looks like a lot of points. I'll take the points here with the dog.
All right, let's transition to college. You and I share a play here. I bet this a little bit earlier, though, in bowl season. Kansas UNLV up to 67.5 now for a total. Rebels also catching 13. What do you like here in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl out in Phoenix?
I like the over. I don't know if I like the first half over more, so I'll probably just split my bet and go halfway. I think, look, let's face it, the bowl season, it's not what it used to be. We've gotten a lot of duds, a lot of opt-outs. A lot of these games have been really hard to watch unless you got a bet in it. This one's going to be fun. A lot of offense for both sides. UNLV can really make explosive plays, especially on the ground game. Over 2,300 yards rushing this year, 4.5 yards per carry. And Kansas, you worry a little bit. They lost the offensive coordinator, who's very highly regarded. He's on to Penn State. But Kansas can hit you for big plays too. So I think this is going to be back and forth, a lot of fireworks. I don't know that either defense really has a solution here. I just worry that UNLV gets behind. And throwing's not their game, as you know, JVT. So if they're behind in like the second half, Kansas can just run it, drain the clock. That the game would get away from UNLV. That's the scenario I worry about. So maybe this is also a good live betting opportunity where, hey, if Kansas does get a lead, it would be hard for UNLV to come back. But to me, this is an over. I think we see a lot of points. I think we see both teams, in the 30s. If I had to bet the point spread, I'd probably take the 13 here with UNLV. So should be a fun game. Should be a fun one to watch tonight.
Yep.
The Quick Lane Bowl is an early morning game out here on the West Coast, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast. It's played in Detroit. And now it is the MAC against the Big Ten. Minnesota disappointing 5-7 on the season, but they squeaked into one of these bowl games because, we have so many of them. They're laying 3.5 in the contest. Not a lot of points expected, 40.5. What do you want to do with it?
I mentioned some of these bowl games have been hard to watch. This might fall under that category.
Oh, yeah.
And look, it's the early game. It's standalone. People are home. People are going to want to bet it. I would take the points here with Bowling Green. I think this is going to be – it's hard to go under 40.5, especially when you're playing in the Dome on a fast track. But this is going to be like a service academy game. Both these teams just run the ball, take a lot of time. Fleck has been good in bowls. But look, Bowling Green, I think, ran the ball 55% of the time. Minnesota ran it about 60% of the time. Neither one is going to have big plays. Minnesota lost their defensive coordinator, Rossi. He's out. So to me, this is like, a 16, 14, 19, 17 type of game. I don't think either team pulls away. I think this is limited possessions. I would take the points here. As we've seen, as we're just talking about off the air, when in doubt, just take the points with these games because these underdogs have done very well, not just covering, but winning these games outright. A lot of opt-outs, a lot of variance, a lot of moving parts with all this stuff. So when in doubt, take the points. And you know what? You could do worse than just blindly betting these dogs on the money line. You would have done pretty well this weekend. I'll take the points here with Bowling Green.
All right. Cotton Bowl. Ohio State taking on Missouri. I actually think this number should be closer to 3, Will, especially when pretty much everybody's playing outside of quarterback Kyle McCord. What do you make of this now that Ohio State is a small favorite of about 1 point?
Yeah, it's been a fascinating study in terms of looking at the line movement where it was 6.5, then it was Missouri favored by 2.5. So you see a 9-point swing. Now we're settled somewhere in the middle here. I like Ohio State. I just think they've got better athletes. They're going to play their guys. Henderson's going to play. It sounds like Harrison's going to play. The last we saw, which I was surprised. I didn't expect him to play, but he's been practicing. Seems like he's good to go. Obviously, they're going to lose. They lost their quarterback, McCourt, but McCourt wasn't any good anyway. You're going to have a little different dynamic dimension here with Brown as a running quarterback for Ohio State. And look, it's Ohio State and it's Missouri. Ohio State just gets much better players. Ohio State has much better athletes. They're one loss. Look, they're not one of the more deserving teams in terms of the college football playoff, but I mean, based on all the metrics, all the rankings, this was a top 3 or 4 team in the country. One loss at Michigan, a completely forgivable loss. Day somewhat on the hot seat, so he's motivated. I think Ohio State gets done here. I think Ohio State wins this game.
How about Saturday at 4 o'clock? This is going to look a little weird because the Orange Bowl has always been, like 8 o'clock Eastern or whatever throughout pretty much my entire lifetime, but not this year, and it's just it's a complete mess. It has been ever since the game was announced. More players opting out. Florida State going to be down to quarterback number 19, I think, on the year. But they're now catching 17 this morning at DraftKings against Georgia with a total of 44. What's your approach here? Because it's so ugly, Will.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, growing up, not even growing up, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, this would have been a hell of a game. Georgia against an undefeated Florida State. I mean, we all would have been just sitting there watching every play of this game. Now it's like nobody cares. Neither team cares. I have a hard time seeing Florida State score here. Obviously, no Jordan Travis. Rodemaker's in the transfer portal. He's not going to play. So it's going to be Brock Glenn, who we haven't seen much of. We did see him against Louisville, and he's 8 of 12 for 55 yards, even though they won that game. Team total is 13.5 for Florida State at DraftKings, minus 125. I just think you bet the under here for Florida State and say, hey, if you somehow get to 2 touchdowns, you beat me. I don't know how motivated Florida State is here. They've got some opt-outs. I don't think they're circling this game as, we're going to show everybody we should have been in the championship. We're going to show everyone, we were wrong. I think they're just going to kind of take their ball and go home here. So to me, them getting to 14 points against this Georgia defense is unlikely. Florida State team total under 13.5, I think, is the play here.
I do wonder how much all this litigation and noise around Florida State affects this game, right? Like we're talking about trying to get out of the ACC, suing all of this, was it the grant of rights or whatever it is, the transfer now. It seems like it's just such a negative situation for the Seminoles.
It does, and look, you can say, hey, we belong to the playoffs, and you went undefeated in the Power 5 conference. There's certainly a case to be made, and it's going to look bad if you go out and you lose by 30 to Georgia, but that's probably what we're looking at here. You can't. It's hard to lay 17 when you had such so many opportunities to lay a better number, but this feels like Georgia rolls here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Are we going to be surprised if we're talking about a game that's 33-0? I mean, honestly,
right.
if they get shut out and do absolutely nothing in this game, I won't be.
No, and this is one where live betting will be a good opportunity where we'll know early. If it's 14-0, Georgia early, I don't think we see a run from Florida State. I don't know if they're going to be able to move the ball. I don't think they'll be able to score.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. Great spot, Will. Follow him on X. He's at Not The Will Hill. Have a great New Year coming up this weekend, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, boys. Merry Christmas. Thanks for having me, guys.
Back at you. So a little bit more here on the Kansas UNLV game. You're going to it. You've covered the team all year long, UNLV here locally, as well as working here at VSiN. Is it? He likes it over 67.5. Just going to be back and forth the entire time?
I think so. And here's the low-key good part about it, because generally turnovers aren't the best if you get long scoring drives. But Jason Bean and Jade Mayava are 2 quarterbacks that will put the ball in danger. Could set up some quick scores, right? Set up some short fields. We saw it Mayava in the last few games. I wrote about it up on the website. He's got a large share of the blame the last 2 games for this team failing to cover and losing both games outright, UNLV, because of the way that he's played. I think they'll be well prepared and ready to go. I think you get 2 explosive offenses, but you get 2 quarterbacks who've got a history of putting the ball in danger, which allow other teams to get short field and score on you. So.
I think today this game's going to be a good one to watch as well for live betting purposes.
Yep.
That could also be a factor here between these two.
Ton of volatility, back and forth, yeah.
If UNLV is going to be in it the whole time, you can get some big numbers here to maybe.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We'll run down some in-pocket plays for you coming up here next.
The guy has an algorithm to determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're on.
All right, grading out plays that I had on Friday. I was off yesterday on Christmas. Cowboys money line, that was no good. I had several bets on that game. I added more Cowboys money line, so I added more losers overall. I also added Cowboys second half, so those were that was a winner. But you're right, you said this earlier. Dak takes the lead, then all of a sudden, it's his fault. The defense allows Miami to go down. But how about Sanders in that game, the field goal kicker? And McDaniel, no problem, like having him trot out there for 50-yard field goals the whole time. Like, okay, that's how they're going to win the game. Yep. So overall, that was a loser. Falcons-Colts over 43, got off to a quick start. In-play total there was 53.5, no good loser. Buccaneers-Jags got there over 41, had a good number on that one, so that got their landing spot was 42. That was a winner, but 1 and 2 with those plays in pocket on Friday. Tonight, I like it, JVT. Grizzlies +5. Against the Pelicans.
Yep.
I'm riding it. You were all over this last week when you were hosting as well. John Morant made his return. Said, watch out. It's weird, though, because, again, every time the market, they don't seem to care. They're like, no, got to go against them.
Yep. I think so. Look, the people, the guys and gals who shape the market are very smart people. But they're also fallible. They're infallible. Sometimes they're wrong. I think they're wrong, right? They've been wrong each of the last 3 times. I think they're wrong again here. Off chance we get Marcus Smart on the floor for the Grizzlies as well. So I think that's going to drive that thing down. So I am going to be in on Memphis as well. So we're riding together. Simpatico.
That's my one bet that I have as of today for tonight. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Get a daily email recapping all the best bets from our show hosts and guests. You're going to get unlimited access to our vsin.com/picks page. Sort picks by sport, matchup, event data, and more. Check the top VSiN experts leaderboard to view betting records, profit, and ROI, and see which VSiN expert has the hot hand for VSiN Pro picks, betting splits, power ratings, plus 24/7 video access. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Sign up now for only $9.99 at vsin.com/subscribe. Yesterday was obviously a good day. Hope everybody had a great Christmas weekend. Capped off yesterday with that, with the family, the friends, the food, the presents, all of that, and tons going on in the sports world. I mean, you have basketball games the entire day. You have 3 football games that take up pretty much the same exact time. And then what took place last night with the 49ers now. And again, if you go back to Monday night of last week, when they got help from a team inside their own division, Seattle, right? When they beat Philadelphia, it was looking as if, as long as they can win the next 2 games, they can coast into the 1 seed, and then they can approach Week 18 any way they want, right? Do they want to play the starters for half the game, the full game? Do they want to give them the entire time off? And that's no longer the case, because that was a loss. It was ugly. It did not go well for Brock Purdy at all. And let's assume here for a minute that they do get the win this week against Washington. They're looking at a Rams team in wake. If the Eagles win this week as well, and they're big favorites against the Cardinals, the Niners are looking at a Rams team that will probably need that game like blood in Week 18 to get into the playoffs.
Yep.
That now is completely flipped. Well, what if the Rams would shock the world, beat the 49ers, and all of a sudden they go from coasting into the 1 seed to, ups, guys, they're the 2, and no bye week?
I mean, I think you make the argument, too. The Rams probably watched it yesterday and were like, dude, come on. You can't win this game, so we don't have anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
I
know.
Come on, dude.
Well, you think they want to play them to get in?
Right, exactly. At least at full strength, needing to win the game. But I agree with you. Look, they obviously have not played since, week 2? And that was a pretty tight game, even tighter than what 30-23 would tell you. So it's that game
Rams
at the very least. Yeah, and at the very least,
McVay kicked the field goal.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that was the why would he ever do that? He had to explain himself afterwards.
That's right.
Wow, that feels like centuries ago.
No kidding, right?
That feels like an eternity ago. But no, I think that it is pretty fascinating just from everything you've talked about. It's a game now that might carry a little bit more weight to it as well. Probably will, given how important it could be. It's also going to be a good litmus test for a team that a lot of people have circled as like the dangerous team in all of the playoffs, not just the NFC. The team that had I can't get over it. What, the third best odds to finish with the worst record in the NFL before the season started? The Rams.
The Rams?
Oh, yeah, they're like third or fourth on the list.
No.
Yes.
Were they that? I know everybody loved their win total under. It was like 6.5.
Oh, I'm going to get this for you. I think they were about like 5-1.
So it was the Cardinals, probably Texans, Colts, right?
Yeah.
Raiders would have been close to there anyway.
I'm going to look this up for you. I'm going to get this for you. Don't worry. Oh, I got a link. Here we go. You ready for this?
They would have been lower than the Patriots for sure.
Let's see. Los Angeles Rams had the fourth best odds to finish with the worst records. Cardinals were plus 340. Texans were 9-1. Tampa Bay Buccaneers were 950. And the Rams were 10-1.
Okay. Well, good little by the way, nugget by you.
3 of the 4 teams might be playoff teams. Houston, Tampa Bay, Los Angeles.
Yeah, could be.
Yep.
Yeah. So then who's going to get into the NFC playoffs here? Vikings are banged up. They had that loss against, by the way, watch the Lions pull off the 1 seed.
Oh, Panthers were 20-1 too, by the way.
They were 20-1.
Have the worst record.
Yeah, well, they almost won that division last year. Okay. Seahawks are now priced to the gills to get there. And I don't know if they win this week against Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And then they have to turn around and go, guess what? They have to go to Arizona in week 18. And that team, clearly, they're not punting.
No.
So would you be okay if that's the playoff teams
this
that
right
we
here?
have right now? Yeah, we don't get the Vikings. Who the hell knows what you're going to get with Minnesota at this point? I don't want Atlanta anywhere near the playoffs.
No, neither do I. If I have to watch either of those quarterbacks play, like standalone high-level like football, I'm out.
You want to watch Green Bay play?
I think there's at least some upside there, right? At least I get to, if he's healthy, like a Christian Watson and like some good skill position players. And I think LaFleur is actually a good coach. You know?
I think Green Bay could throw, if here's the big if, how many guys are they going to get back?
I'll tell you this. You want a hot take that probably won't come to fruition because they're not going to make it? Eagles have to play Green Bay first round. Watch out.
That would be tricky for Philly.
Yep.
That would absolutely be tricky. I think the Green Bay offense could do a lot of things there against that Philadelphia offense.
Yep.
What's the total in that game?
I was just about to say, set it to like 51.5. Set it and forget it.
If that's like a typical, like the Eagles totals have been hovering around 47 here lately. If that's like a 46.5 or a 47, that would clearly have to be an over for me. But I'd like to see the Rams get in.
I would too.
It's a good team. You know what? How about the Buccaneers?
Sure. Absolutely.
So now all of a sudden we were thinking the Cowboys were going to have to go to Atlanta, or the loser of the NFC East would have to go to Atlanta and be like a 10-point favorite. What's Dallas laying today against Tampa on the road?
Oof. I mean, what are we thinking, like 4.5?
You can't go higher than 6.
Yeah, I don't think you can, give them that opportunity. I mean, both of these, I would say too. I mean, it's not going out on a limb because the Bucs are, in the NFC South and not great. But it's not going to be surprising. Like that, to me, narratively, the best game on the board, potentially wildcard weekend, is Lions-Rams. Like that's going to be awesome if we get that, and I hope we do. And obviously, the Lions don't want that in any way, shape, or form because I think they go home if that's the matchup.
Everybody's going to make the case for the Rams in that game.
I know. I'm willing to be on the side of the public. I'll go out on a limb and say I'll take Sean McVay over Dan Campbell.
Oh, you don't like the guy who's going to win Coach of the Year?
In a battle of wits. I'll take it. I'll take my chances.
Also, like when does the flip get switched for KC? You like to you used to do a segment on the afternoon show you did with humans here.
Yeah.
Right? Buy low, sell high.
Yep.
You want to buy right now in the Chiefs?
I mean, I think this is probably the opportunity to do it. You get a really bad Bengals defense. If you're going to work out some kinks potentially, it might be here. It might start now. Every metric points to them still being a top team in the AFC, and the AFC is really weak. Throw 5 of them in a hat and pull one out. How many would you be surprised if win the AFC?
Chiefs are 8-1 to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I want a little bit. If they were 8-1 to win the AFC, I'd bet that right now.
Good thing I didn't bet them at 7-1 last week because I thought they were going to beat the Raiders.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
right.
Good thing I didn't do that. Totally.
But just because the defense is still really, really good.
Yes.
So
again, they didn't give up a single completion the rest of the way.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look pretty, right? The offense, it's not the same offense that we've watched for the first 5 years of Patrick Mahomes' career.
Yep.
However, is it really out of the realm of possibility to think that this team could come out of the AFC again?
Not at all.
No, it's not.
But then play this back when Shane Steichen and Gardner Minshew rep the AFC in the Super Bowl against the 49ers.
I think the Chiefs, they could... We've seen this now from plenty of teams, right? A team can go to Arrowhead in January and beat them in the first round of the playoffs.
Sure. I mean, it's a couple years ago, but like I bring up the Colts. The Colts have been a pain in the ass for the Chiefs for the last few years.
Yeah. Or maybe it clicks on offense here a little bit more than it has throughout the regular season. The defense holds true, and this team's coming out of it again.
Absolutely. And you're never as bad as your worst performance. You're never as good as your best performance.
Yeah. I like this week, though, I think Chiefs, like Packers, 2-team teaser, looks pretty decent at this point.
Funny.
Great job. Enjoy the game today, man.
I will.
Going to UNLV in Arizona. Thanks,
Yep,
man.
it's gonna be great.
Appreciate it.